We are going to be doing a thought study for the first chapter of the book of Philippians. This is made up of 4 different parts. The first one is a summary, where you're going to use only words from the text. I am going to be using a Christian Standard Bible, a CSB, for this one, so I'll be using words from the CSB to create a paragraph. Basically, the summary is one sentence from every paragraph of the chapter. That'll give you the main thrust of what the chapter is, just in a smaller amount. You only can use the words from the text, so you can't get creative and change things around. And that'll help combat any false ideas coming in. The next part is a statement where you're going to make one sentence that summarizes the thought of the entire chapter. That statement can be in your own words, but you want to make sure that it matches the ideas brought out of the summary, obviously out of the entire chapter. By doing your summary, it'll help you to better understand what the statement of the chapter is. The third thing is a question, and the last thing is a devotional, which is normally prayer, but it could be other things as well. Whatever your thoughts are, you want to write down. So this is mine. Summary first. Paul and Timothy, to all the saints in Christ Jesus who are in Philippi, grace and peace from God. I give thanks to God for you, always praying with joy because of your partnership in the gospel. I pray this, that your love will keep growing in knowledge and discernment, so you can determine what really matters. I want you to know my imprisonment has resulted in the advancement of the gospel. I have the desire to depart and be with Christ, but to remain in the flesh means fruitful work. Live your life in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. And so that's the summary using just words from the text. Statement for the chapter, one sentence, my own words. All who believe in Christ Jesus have been given the task of advancement of the gospel by belief and also through sufferings, for it is the message of the gospel that truly matters. I put a little semicolon in there to connect those ideas, but I felt as though that summarized the chapter pretty well in that statement. The question. I normally ask, what question is this chapter answering? When Paul wrote this, he had a purpose behind it, and he was trying to do something to get information to the Philippians, and I try and understand what that is. I won't always know. We can't know because we don't know the other side of the letter. We don't know the questions the Philippians were asking. We only know what Paul said. But as much as possible, I try and understand that. Also, this section, you can write down things that come up that you don't understand. You can put them in there, and if you go dig into more study, you might be able to figure it out. Maybe not in the book of Philippians, but maybe in another book. Or possibly they could show up in the very next chapter, your answer. And if you wrote down your question, it'll be ready for you to fill in with an answer. So in this case, my question from this chapter was, why do we suffer when we live for Christ? And I felt as though this chapter works towards answering that question. And the answer is advancement of the gospel. Through Paul's imprisonment, the imperial guard gained knowledge of the gospel. Some proclaimed Christ as they opposed Paul publicly. Others proclaimed Christ as they supported Paul. Paul took joy in all of this because of his suffering, worked to share the gospel of Christ with others. We are appointed co-workers in the gospel, and so we should live in a like manner to Paul. The proclamation of the gospel should be the desire of our heart. And if it's not, then we have to understand that we are missing part of our calling as Christians. So a devotional. Lord, I pray for the saints. I pray for all that believe in Christ, that we may increase in our knowledge and discernment, so that we will focus on what really matters, the good news of Jesus Christ, rejoicing even in suffering when you, Lord, are proclaimed through our lives. I pray that you are blessed.